If you have a loved one in federal prison right now, you have every reason in the world to be worried. But the good news is there are steps that you can take to help your loved one transition from federal prison to home confinement, or at the very least, take initiative that will give a stakeholder the opportunity to consider the injustice of keeping your loved one in prison. And there are many reasons that he shouldn't be in prison, as you know. You know, for example, that he can't practice social distancing. You know, for example, that the Bureau of Prisons is going to focus its mission on protecting security of the institution rather than protecting your loved one. You know that your loved one is going to have to breathe in the air from hundreds of people living in the same confined space. He can't stay 6 feet apart, much less the 20 feet apart or 25 feet apart that scientists and the CDC says is really necessary to really protect ourselves. We're protecting ourselves from being in the comfort of our home. Now, it's something I know a lot about being in prison because I was locked in there for 26 years, but I also want you to know that there are steps that you could take, and that's what this video is about. You see on the screen here this is from Cornell Law School. Anybody can access information. I've said here repeatedly, anybody can become their own advocate. These are skills that I learned while I was incarcerated. And you could access out here the internet, go to Cornell Law School, and just type in the appropriate law that is going to govern. It's either going to be a habeas corpus motion under 2241, but you're also going to want to take a look at this one, Title 18, United States Code, Section 3582, which regards the imposition of a sentence of imprisonment. Now, if you scroll down here, this talks about sentencing, but if you scroll down here to 18 U.S.C. 3582, Section C, you come to a very important point called modification of an imposed term of imprisonment. That's 3582C, but really important is 1A. The court may not modify a term of imprisonment once it has been imposed, except that, in any case, the court, upon motion of the director of the Bureau of Prisons, and this is the key phrase here or segment of this sentence, or upon motion of the defendant after the defendant has fully exhausted all administrative rights to appeal a failure of the Bureau of Prisons to bring a motion on the defendant's behalf in the lapse of 30 days from the receipt of such a request by the warden of the defendant's family, by the warden of the defendant's facility, whichever is earlier, may reduce the term of imprisonment and may oppose a term of probation or supervised release with or without conditions that does not exceed the unserved portion of the original term of imprisonment after considering the factors set forth in Section 3553A to the extent that they are applicable. If it finds that extraordinary and compelling reasons warrant such a reduction. So there's never been anything as extraordinary and compelling as this virus that has become a pandemic around the globe, where I'm filming this video on Saturday, I think it's April the 11th, more than 500,000 people in the United States have contracted this virus. But there's no place where it's more toxic than in a jail or a prison. And so as family members, we have a responsibility and a duty. I don't have any loved ones in prison, but my family had this problem when I was in prison. They were always working to advocate on my behalf. And I would have to teach them what to do because I was in there studying the law, but I was never in there at a time when we had this national quarantine going on. So, as I've expressed in previous videos, which you can see through this YouTube channel or through our various websites, the Attorney General has directed the Bureau of Prisons to release people, but the Bureau of Prisons is slow. If you go to the BOP website, and I'm going to do it right now while we're on the screen, if I go to the BOP website, I'm going to see that on the beginning there, they're going to be talking about the COVID pandemic. You're going to be able to see that on home confinement, they've got right here, inmates do not need to apply to be considered for home confinement. But I don't agree with that. As somebody who did 9,500 days in prison, I absolutely know how important it is to be your own advocate. You can't wait for a case manager who has a long history of blocking and obstructing every single effort there is to try and aid a defendant in advancing his possibilities for liberty or education or visiting or anything. The Bureau of Prisons, in my experience, has been, a bureaucracy that is, designed to, what they say, protect the security of the institution. I can't tell you how many times I was told while I was going through prison, we don't care anything about your life after you get out. All we care about is security of the institution. Well, go back to the BOP's website, the homepage, and you will see that that's what they're doing right now. Directors addressing all staff. Okay, the concern is about staff. The concern is not about the people who are serving time in prison. So we have to be really strong in looking for information that will help us understand what's going on. We've got to really scour the website. We've got to scour the law. We've got to try and figure out what can we do. And if you don't know what to do, then you've got to be, looking for experienced advocates that can help you so that your loved one doesn't become one of these fatalities or one of these statistics in here where, there's 46 people plus 22 staff. I mean, that's 68 people at Butner who have the virus. In Lompoc, number 2, there's 45, 55, 60, 59 people. And that's just the people that they know, right? They don't know what's really happening. But what I know is that there are remedies that you can pursue. You don't have to wait to exhaust your administrative remedies in times of a crisis. What you have to do is advocate sometimes on a multi-pronged approach and bring attention to your loved one so that they have to answer, and you put it forward. You put so much pressure that it becomes easier to say, wait a minute, we have the authority to let him out. He's got the appropriate plan in place. Let's move him out. So my recommendation is that you learn as much as you can about the law as quickly as you can, and you begin advocating if you've got the capacity to do so. If you don't, you can hire a lawyer. A lawyer is going to be pretty expensive. But I always did everything by myself. Our team does things by myself. Not me personally. I don't do this kind of work. But people on our team at Prison Professors have a tremendous amount of experience in this, and they can help you. So we encourage you, don't sleep on this. Either do it yourself or get an expert to move forward.